Yeah, all the time. It happened to Homer Simpson. It happens all the time.
Well, there you have it. I'm guessing something like that has happened fairly often.
There's some slides that have like loops and stuff like that, and they have like these doors just in case you don't make it around the loop, where they have to open the door and then kind of like pull you out through that door if you don't make the complete loop.
Billy, that was in that Adventure Park documentary on HBO, because they had the water slide that was just a loop that went like this. And after watching that documentary, I'm not going on a water slide unless I have a sit-down meeting with a coffee with the engineer of said water slide, because it just seems like anyone can just make a water slide these days.
Well, they did that at a place called Action Park. Are you talking about Action Park?
What?
Yes, I just said the Action Park thing on HBO. Stugotz, the slide did like a loop-de-loop.
You said Adventure Park, which I think is a movie.
Park. Oh,
yeah, it's also a fine.
That's a fine. Yeah. Whatever. I'll Venmo you.
I knew what you were talking about. I saw this show about this giant slide that they made in Texas that they ended up, and this isn't because it takes a dark turn, they ended up having to dismantle it because like a congressman or something like lost his son on the slide. But it was this massive slide that this guy made, and I forgot what it was called, but it had like a German name, and it was like 200 feet high or something ridiculous. And you just go down, and in the test, they had to end up putting like a net around certain portions of it, because when they were doing it, it was just, you were in a tube, it would just launch the tubes way off the thing. It looked incredible. I would never go on that one though.
Not to make a dark story darker, but what happened was that the person was actually decapitated.
Yeah. They had to take down the slide.
And it was in Kansas City. It was in the Midwest. Not going on slides.
KC. All I got.
A lot of corrections that segment, man. A lot of corrections that segment.
I think we're gonna put that in. I think we're gonna put that in Big Suey. Just chronologically would make a little bit more sense. So,
you could start it at me saying if there were only 2 channels I could watch. That was a clean entry point. Because before that, Billy and I were speculating about Paula Dean's son, who listens to the show.
Yeah, that we can definitely leave out.
We could cut all of that out.
Yeah.
He lives in Savannah.
Chris, first day back, I saw that rubbing of the eyes, a little tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
How much drinking you do at the parks?
I honestly drank really only at Epcot, which was Saturday.
Stugotz, is this going to still be Big Suey? All right.
No.
You guys keep in mind, just for continuity's sake.
Talking to Chris.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you were making content.
Nope.
All right.
Talking to him.
Because it sounded like content. Just keep in mind, like, that shows up in Big Suey. So if you're going to go back to local hour, don't reference something that's later on.
Okay.
Also, I think you were making content.
I wasn't.
I'm just catching up, Tony, and your suggestion is Edward 40 hands for a punishment.
Do we want to discuss this?
I mean, we should promote the things that we have going on, the things that are returning.
Edward 40 hands.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's Edward 32 hands here?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, discuss it. Go for it.
All right. The NFL starting up. A lot of people are asking on Twitter what we're doing in terms of the grid of death this year. And I have no idea what it is we're doing. I know I owe a couple from previous years, but a pandemic got in the way. I was about to say thankfully, but no. I should not say
those are gone.
Yeah.
A couple. We didn't get those from ESPN. Those stayed behind.
Okay, good.
Clean slate.
Okay, good. Oh, clean slate. I love it. So, Billy, are we indeed doing a grid of death this year? Because I honestly have no idea. People are asking me on Twitter, and I don't know how to respond because I don't know if we're doing it.
We are doing it.
Okay.
And it starts, I believe, tomorrow. So it's back, and we're still putting together a list of things that we need to do. We were taking suggestions. Some are great. Some are Tony suggesting we do Edward 40 hands. So I don't know that one's going to make the cut, but it might.
What is Edward 40 hands?
Oh, witty.
I'm glad you asked, Witty. So
am I.
Yeah. So Edward 40 hands in Florida, it's Edward 32 hands, is because 40s are illegal. You grab
Wait, what? You have to do 32 ounces?
Yeah, because 40 ounces are illegal in Florida.
That's illegal in Florida?
Yeah.
That's where Florida
That
draws the line.
is
very
draws the
conservative.
line.
Yes.
There's a
Additional
line.
ounces?
It's the
I mean,
8 additional ounces where they can't really, budge.
I'm sorry.
Legally.
That is absurd.
Safety first, yeah.
It's Florida.
Forget the cocaine. Anyways, for Edward 40 hands, you duct tape 40s to your hands, and you got to finish both of them before you can actually use your hands. In this case, it'd be 32 ounces of your favorite beer. We duct taped your hands to them, and you couldn't do anything until you finish. Feel pretty easy, yeah. I don't know why it's not getting more love, Billy.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, we're going to be at work.
Yeah, I like that makes a
God
difference.
forbid
I mean,
we
Dan
give
drinks
people an
tequila
extra
here.
8 ounces.
Did you see him, Mean?
The rules have changed somewhat.
Yeah. Do you like that one, Mike? I think it's
No, I think it's a horrible idea, but
why?
Hey, look, I get to be an armchair quarterback this go around with the grid of death. I do not envy Billy's position because
Yeah,
I
I
used
don't
to
know
be
how
that.
this became my position, by the way. I'd just like to say I was doing this yesterday. Like,
Well,
how is this a me thing
well,
now?
it's
You're in charge?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
Billy's in charge because we stopped doing it largely because of Billy's reluctance and your reluctance and pretty much everyone's reluctance. And everyone had an opinion when it came to it, and everyone was really kind of lacking the follow through.
I think we all
Whoa.
just wanted to
What?
say on what the penalties were going to
Yeah.
be. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
I did all mine.
Democracy.
Yeah, Roy, there were a couple of really strong-willed people that pushed through and did it and were good teammates.
Right.
But I'm going to keep it real with you guys. You guys were awful when it came to this bit.
I think the newbies were the ones that were enthusiastic last night with the suggestions. Jessica, Whitty, they never
Yeah.
walked through this gauntlet
Be
before.
careful.
I was just saying it's a dangerous game. I saw
Yep.
some of your suggestions, Whitty. I'm like, you really want to do that? Who suggested a stand-up set?
Oh, that was
That
me.
was just
I think
I mean,
that
that
was
is-
that's a
hilarious.
disastrous
I actually,
idea.
I had way more, worse ideas that I was about to press send on and then deleted because I was like, I'm not gonna do this.
Ooh,
am I
like what?
doing
Like
here?
what?
Did you type them out and then bring them back?
I
Like, what'd you-
did. I
okay.
typed out a
Right.
few and then I was like, oh no, delete.
Cutting room
I'll see if
floor.
I can remember any of them. They were all things that I would just never. If I got it, I would just be like, no.
Whitty suggested one that was pay $500.
That's what I
Where it's
mean. I'm like, this
who
guy.
would pick that?
Well,
Dan would pick that every
Dan
time.
would pick
Yeah.
that.
No,
Dan
I
would
think to
pick
get
that.
out of a harsher punishment, I think Dan would absolutely pick that.
Would
I'm
you
not-
would you pick that?
Yeah, probably.
You
To
would
get
pay.
me-
You would pay $500 as a buyout, and we'd have a pot that we'd all pick from. I guess.
It depends what penalties are left. Like it depends what's left. If $500 is the best of my options, I'd probably fork up $500.
Back to the penalties and why we stopped doing this in the first place. Also, we figured in light of a pandemic, which is still happening right now. I mean, that the Grid of Death name probably shouldn't have been out there last year, especially on Disney Radio. But we'd come up with these ideas, or I'd come up with some of these ideas. I'd run it by the group, and we'd be okay with it. And then it came time to act on it, and then all of a sudden, people were citing health concerns, and it was a whole awful thing. So we ended up taking a year off, basically because no one here wanted to do it. Billy has taken more of an administrative role, and he realizes what was known from the very beginning, that this is something that could be sponsored, and it's good, fun content. So now Billy is on board, but he's also the de facto commish. So he has to whittle through all these terrible ideas, have to consider everyone's safety in all of them, and has to deal with Stugotz's bullshit.
That's fine. I don't care about that. If he
He's
doesn't
used
do
to
it,
it.
it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
I mean, if it's up to me, it's going to be like pillow fights is going to be on this list.
I love our new
fun.
commissioner. Fantastic. So, what other good ideas did we get? Any others? Or bad
Good
ideas?
ideas?
Yeah.
Not a ton.
No. So, what are we doing? We don't have enough punishments on there. Like,
We'll be fine. One's called Scuba Gooding Jr. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be on the list.
I love you figuring this out as we go. That's fantastic. I've been waiting for this my entire life.
I suggested we do a Chris Whittingham day where if you lose, you have to gel your hair like Chris before bed and then come in. And then I texted it to the group and I was like, oh, that was really mean. I shouldn't have sent that. And then I was like, wait, but I would say that on air. Why is it meaner if I text it to him than if I say it to like 100,000 people on a radio show?
Because it's in words.
You also suggested that I have to use a second grade vocabulary all day.
Yeah, that one was a good one.
That actually would be a greater punishment than you describing, gelling of my hair as some kind of awful thing to do, which it very much is not.
I mean, if I gelled my hair before bed and then came into work, that would
That's
be
a good
punishment
point
for me.
That's a good point.
Also, it's like easier to think of person-specific punishments, like things that only I could do that would be a punishment, or things that only Whittingham or Billy or Mike would do, and like purposely target their insecurities and fears than it is for the entire group. Because like this year is going to be hard if we have an eating thing because I'm allergic to a lot of food. So can't have like a group wide 50 chicken mini thing because I can't eat those.
That one
anymore.
sounded great.
Perfect. I'll cut all those out. Don't worry about that. You had a very specific one that I thought was specific to you, which was put on your makeup with no mirror. And I was like, I wonder who's going to choose this one.
But it actually would be funny if I guess like everyone could do it, but it wouldn't. I don't know. I didn't think that one. That was an example of one that would work for me. See, I'm thinking it through right now. This has basically just become a brainstorming sesh.
Ooh, guys, how about this? How about this if I'm in charge? Which I don't know that I am, but if I'm in charge, how about this?
Yeah.
If you lose, pick your own punishment.
I like
What do you think
it.
about that?
Anything you
Just
want.
just do whatever you want.
I'm going to go for a walk on the beach.
I love it.
Wow.
gonna
You
go
hate sand, so that is hard for you.
No, on the sidewalk near the beach.
Go for a stroll.
You guys didn't like my Stugotz punishment where you have to go an entire show. Every word you say has to be a lie.
It's easy.
I like that one. See,
It's
I'm
hard.
doing it right now.
And if you don't,
Oh.
that's good.
Just kidding. Am I?
If you do anything that's not a lie, you have to do it another show.
Huh.
But how would we know if things are true or not?
That's the point, Billy.
What?
Stay with it, Bill.
So we debut this
I'm the one that's
tomorrow.
lost.
We debut this tomorrow. And
Yeah,
there
yeah,
will
we're
be a whole grid reveal,
And we get
or
to choose our own punishments. I mean,
We'll figure that out as we go tomorrow. Listen,
Right.
here's what I can tell you about tomorrow.
gonna eat.
Tomorrow, maybe, helmets will be drawn, and then we'll figure out the rest from there. You know?
Please.
And I'll tell you this. I also brought home some helmets. Well, I brought home all the helmets. And I used a little nail polish remover. We're gonna have some new helmets this year. I removed some. Hate to say it, we're gonna have to retire the Lee Corso headgear pick. I think that one's gone. But we're going to be debuting some new helmets. And this one also pained me. Wild Wild West, the Wild Wild West helmet, no longer in circulation. That was my favorite helmet, and we had to take that one out.
What
because
was that one?
caused
What
multiple
was
fights.
that, Mike?
Well, Wild Wild West was a helmet that I just wrote Wild Wild West on the helmet
Right.
without telling anyone and put it in the bucket. And it was drawn one time. And the stipulation was this helmet can be whatever you want it to be. And that was not much appreciated. And it was thrown in the trash can. And then I had to go secretly take it out of the trash can and then put it in my drawer next to my desk. And I secretly reinserted it 2 or 3 times, but then realized this is going to end poorly if someone draws this again because tensions were high at that point in the bucket of death. So I had to go in and fish it out. And then it just lived in the desk for a while. But I found it and I've cleaned it up. It will no longer be there. The Wild Wild West helmet, unfortunately, also retired.
Yeah, the acting commissioner really enjoyed when there was a helmet pulled in a very difficult segment for the audience to understand generally anyways.
Right.
For us to pull a helmet where Billy was the only person that was excited for it. It was a mystery how it got there. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun being the commish. Have fun.
You are thrilled to be relieved of your duties.
Well, I think
man.
it's going to be a disaster, and it's going to end up being walks on the beach, and the audience is going to shit all over it, and you're going to still find a way to weasel your way out of a pleasant walk down the beach. But at least it's sponsored, I hope.
Who had the Donda idea? That was a good
That was
idea.
me. That was me.
I mean, the texts were coming in fast and furious yesterday, but someone had that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my pitch was you have to stay the night in a sports arena or stadium of your choosing. We'd have to get some cooperation from a local sports team, but my idea was you have to spend the night in a stadium.
That is
Which
a
one would
great
you
idea.
choose?
It's a great idea. It really is.
I would
Which
choose.
stadium would you choose?
I would choose whichever organization complies
We'll
with our
have-
request.
Yes.
exactly.
So I'm guessing either the Panthers, if it's you, the Marlins, perhaps Inter Miami.
The one closest to my house, which would be the
Definitely
Panther
the one.
Arena.
Yeah, I'm down for that one too.
Yeah, but it's cold in there, man.
Not when there's not ice.
There's ice currently, so it's.
I think there's always
hockey season
ice.
coming up.
No, there isn't.
You think there's ice right now, Roy?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
yeah. The hockey arenas have started putting down the ice now for preseason. So
gonna send a text.
They've laid down the ice.
yeah, they
You're
start laying down
excited,
ice.
huh?
I am.
The laying down of ice.
I am.
Yeah. Mike, you're not going like AAA? I figured you would go.
It's not AAA anymore, by the way.
FTX.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
A couple.
I'd go to whoever says yes. I'd go to whoever says yes because I just want all this to go by really well and enjoyable for the audience. And I
It's
have
better when
no
it
doubt.
doesn't go well, though.
That's
honestly.
what we kept telling ourselves back here. So,
If we're actually expected to pay off punishments, with I'm not super convinced that we are. I did one of Chris's punishments, so Chris could take one of my punishments. I'd be happy to do that. I watched all the Fast and the Furious movies over the span of a weekend, so we could do a swapsy if you'd like.
I'm down.
You just chose to do that with your time, though.
I had to catch up because honestly, when we were getting to 9, I had to watch 9 for Cinephile, and it was a bit of work
but
to watch all of them, but I had to do it.
You didn't complete it though because you're supposed to stream your marathon.
I can't stream. I'll get sued. Vin Diesel's
no,
very
you don't
litigious.
stream the movies. You stream your reaction to watching the movies. The audience just watches you watching the movies.
Meh.
Hmm.
We'll ask the new commish what he thinks.
I like the cinephobe idea where you have to watch 5 cinephobe movies back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, the punishment was welcome to Cinephobe. Watch the last 5 movies reviewed on Cinephobe.
Cool. How does the audience enjoy that?
Well,
Do you stream it?
yeah, well, of
All right.
course, yeah.
I
yeah.
like
We're just
Mike.
working
I
these
love-
things out.
I love Mike flexing his muscle here, like his experience from doing
Well,
this.
no, it's not a commissioner. You have to think about the audience, which nobody was
Honor
thinking about
code.
the audience last.
Right.
Oh,
last
now
time we
you're
did
thinking
this.
about the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always thought the audience comes
Nah.
first, except for when they try to talk to me in public.
I had that in Starbucks yesterday. I mean,
Oh, somebody tried to talk to you.
little small talk.
I want to officially apologize.
To
I was-
who?
To the audience.
You don't need to apologize
No, I
for
do.
what it is you
I
said.
do. Look, I think the messaging was bad. I just revealed to the audience my personal preference is to not have conversations, but I
Right.
don't. That comes off super rude, and I'm thankful for every fan that we have,
Mhm.
and I'm really good in these interactions. I saw the video and I saw the feedback, and it's really weird that the Reddit people are so shocked that I don't actually want to have conversations with them, given how kind they are. But I was wrong there. If you see me out, give me a head nod. We'll talk. I'll snap a selfie. Like I always do. I'm kind. But I was in a bit of a mood yesterday. Over the last
Right.
month has been rough on me, and I'm sorry I revealed that. I probably took a little too far. So
Right.
I apologize to the people out there. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm not approachable because I am super approachable.
Right.
Just internally, in the darkest depths of my soul, in the darkest depths of my soul,
Mhm.
I just would. My personal preference is to not have a conversation with you,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean I won't enjoy my time with you.
But a head nod is acceptable. At this
I get a head nod more than anything.
Right.
I get you don't get the show a lot, like that's fine, and there's a lot of perks that come with being recognized that I really enjoy. So if I have to perhaps swallow my own personal preference occasionally to make a fan happy, I will do so.
What's the best sort of fan interaction? I had it yesterday. It was a guy who recognized me at Starbucks and just said Stugotz, and I said, yeah. And he said, what up? And that was it. Got my car. He got in his car. We went our separate ways.
I'm surprised you didn't pick this because it's available from the lot. The best type of fan experience is the fan that can give you something in return for all the joy you've brought into their lives, whether it be a table at a nightclub or a drink. Any type of fan that's willing to give you something for you giving them hours of entertainment
You will
is
entertain-
okay.
You'll entertain that fan.
Yeah, I'll take a picture with your dad.
Right.
Let's take a million pictures.
So approach Mike bearing gifts moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Can't hear you, Bill.
Muted.
I'm happy to announce, guys, that on the next grid, we're going to have the Mike Ryan, in which one of us will have to make small talk
Love
after
it.
the show
Yes.
for an hour
Love it.
with fans that arrive.
I love that.
Yeah.
Small talk for an hour though turns into not small talk.
Not small
Like,
anymore.
How do you do small talk without getting into some?
No.
serious
Sounds
You-
like big talk.
Go.
You have a bunch of fans come down
Mhm.
to the Clevelander, and after the show, they line up
Mhm.
and they have 5-second conversations with Mike Ryan or you, or it could be anyone, whoever selects that punishment. Small talk. I like it.
Yeah.
With masks on, 6 feet apart.
Fine.
I would just like to state for the record that somehow I got roped into Mike's comments yesterday.
Mm.
I enjoy meeting fans also.
Were people mad at you, Mike?
Yeah, people think that I'm an
People
asshole.
were mad at Mike.
Yeah, and I am an asshole privately, internally, but I'm not an asshole to people, never have been. I defy you to find a fan that had one bad interaction with me publicly. On Twitter, if you say something wrong, I'm going to check you, just like Roy does with your mama.
Right.
You're an asshole privately, internal, like to yourself.
No, like my
Mm.
thoughts is I would prefer to
Mm.
never be noticed
Maybe let's leave it at the apology.
Yeah.
We're starting
Yeah.
to.
I don't
we're
think
starting
you're
to
Well,
go
I
down
mean,
the same
Stugotz is
path as
asking-
yesterday again.
Yeah, Stugotz is asking follow-ups. It's just
Well, I was just wondering, did people take that the wrong way? Because I know you, Mike, and I know how nice you are to the listeners. I know how much you care about the listeners.
yeah,
so-
people aren't receptive to that. People would like to think that they could be nice and have a nice moment with me in public or in private or whatever, and they can. They absolutely can. And that's where I erred yesterday in my messaging.
Right.
Please still come up to me. My own personal preference in those situations do not matter. They don't. I want you to have a good exchange with me if you do come up to me. And I always deliver in that regard.
Aren't all people like Mike, though? Like, if you run into somebody from high school at Publix, don't you prefer the just passing by, hey, how's it going? You don't want to stop and like, hey,
No.
how are you? And like,
No.
that's someone you even know. We all just prefer the let's make this quick. Hey, I saw you. Happy to see you. Let's keep it moving.
Oh, I've avoided people.
Right, we all
in-
do.
In a supermarket, but we chose this to do as a living, as a profession. And so it comes with the territory.
It does.
Like, people are going to recognize us. They love us. I mean, they care about us.
I think the rule is you're only allowed to say hi to Mike in public if you've never written anything mean about him on Reddit or Twitter, any other social media. Otherwise, you can't be mad. If he wants to go about his business, he goes about his business.
I've had plenty of people that talk out of both sides of their mouth, and it's fine. If you come up to me, just be respectful, be cool with it, and I guarantee you, I practice what I preach. Though, like when I meet a fan, I'm kind. When I see somebody that I'd like to meet, at most I give is a head nod. I don't bother people for pictures. I just don't like that being done to me personally, internally, deepest, darkest parts of my soul.
Right.
So I respect other people's time. But if you come up to me, it's all good. It's all good. I'm sorry.
Just know that it's killing him on the inside.
Yes. Slowly.
Yeah.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
4 ounces. The people in Florida are really going to do something crazy, right? That's the logic there. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to circle back.
The extra 8 ounces. It is an odd place to draw a line if you're the state of Florida. No 40 ounces.
Stupid state. We live in a stupid
It's
state.
an embarrassing state, right?
Yes, it is.
It's
is
become an
backwards.
embarrassment to live here.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
been
mean, the
an-
move. I like it here. You
I-
can go.
I like
no one's
Miami.
stopping you.
I might.
Yeah, I could if I could afford it.
I like Miami and Orlando and a steakhouse in Tampa
Right.
and the Keys. I love the Keys. It's a backward state in that, yeah, there's one steakhouse. There's one part in Tampa.
Just
I
one
enjoy
part.
it, just one
Tampa.
part.
Just
Tampa
one
that
part of
really,
Tampa.
I love it. I really enjoy it. Everywhere else,
1,200 square feet in Tampa. I love.
Such an old time place too. It's
great.
not like it's like hip and trendy. You walk in and it's like I'm in the 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I ate there. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
I booked my flight for the Rolling Stone show in Tampa this morning, and I held my breath the entire time of the process, just preparing myself for what I'm about to sign up for.
I have a Dead and Company show in Tampa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When?
In October.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
This one's in October.
They're doing one in Palm Beach, and then I think the next night or perhaps 2 nights later, they're going over to Tampa. So I'm going.
We talked about this when you were out. I know Dead and Company, every experience is unique, but at what point are you like, I could skip this one?
I just did it.
You skipped one,
I've skipped a couple here.
but did you live stream it on the internet? Because they do that too.
So I went up to Westfield, Massachusetts for 2 shows, and then met my daughter at Syracuse because she's looking at that one as a potential college. Emma, not Rachel. And then I skipped the Connecticut show, which I really wanted to go to because what they say when you're a Dead fan is don't miss a Sunday night show. This was a Sunday night show in Hartford. I was 3 hours away. I didn't make it. I didn't stream it. I was tired. I was exhausted from the 2 shows and then the drive to Syracuse and the mushrooms.
Was your daughter checking out Connecticut?
UConn?
Yeah.
No.
Is she going to check out USF in October?
Perhaps, yes. University of Tampa. Yeah. UT?
No, USF is in Tampa. There is a university.
There's a University of Tampa, though.
Yeah, but
There is. No, she's not
Gulf
going.
Coast University
They-
when they're in West Palm.
They both want out of the state of Florida. I mean, so Billy, they're taking your advice. They don't like it here. They're embarrassed by it. They're moving the hell out.
What do you guys think about this one? So we have one called the Katie Ledecky where you have to dress like an Olympic swimmer for an entire episode, right? You have to wear the swim cap and everything. How about the David Schwimmer, where you have to dress like David Schwimmer for an entire episode? Hmm?
What is that? Like a cardigan and jeans or something? What is that? Sweater?
Who knows?
David Schwimmer as Rob Kardashian.
Oh, a suit.
Did he dress like Rob Kardashian once?
Didn't he play?
Yeah, the people
Rob
versus
Kardashian?
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
He played.
Oh, Rob the dad.
Yeah.
I only think
Robert
of one Rob
Kardashian.
Kardashian. It's the son.
Yeah, Robert Kardashian. Yes.
Or you dress like a paleontologist. Who knows?
Mike's laughing at you.
I'm not laughing. I'm mad.
Why?
I'm also happy to announce, guys, breaking news. I don't know if you know this. Breaking news. I don't know if we have a sound for breaking
Is it a
news.
Billy Gill exclusive?
Sure.
All right. So
Great.
say the news and I'll hit the imaging.
Breaking news. We have 7 helmets that are going to go in where things will be written on them. One of them will be the golden helmet of life.
And that?
That's not the breaking news. That's just an aside.
Okay.
Here's the breaking news.
Bill, you have that second golden helmet of life too, right? My personal one.
Yeah, that was a fun bit. Thank you for reminding me when there was a second
Remember?
golden helmet of life. That
The
made its
tape
way
on
in.
your hands. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
still glued
Right.
underneath the table.
Keep it in there, Bill.
One of the other helmets that will be going in and will be making its return. The Wild Wild West helmet. Now you hit the sound. Fanfare.
The Wild Wild East helmet.
Ooh.
How about that?
That doesn't work though.
This is terrible.
No North.
There
no
needs
South.
to be a bad guy in all of this.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm the bad guy here.
Yeah.
He's the good guy.
Laying
and
down
bad
the
guy.
law. That's why they call me the sheriff.
The warden. I
I'm not
like
even
the
gonna
warden.
I'm not even gonna be the commissioner. I'm
Sure,
gonna be
Anthony.
the sheriff of the
But-
bucket.
But to Mike's point, going back to the Dead for a second, one of the suggestions was going to a Dead concert with me.
Yeah.
How does that benefit the audience, though?
I would take that punishment.
That'd be a great punishment. I mean, the easiest of the punishments. Going to a Dead show with me? Have a blast.
The unhealthiest of all the punishments.
Oh,
I'd
no
say.
doubt. Yeah. Take vacation days after. But how does that benefit the audience? That's what Mike is. That's his chief concern here, Billy.
Yeah, I appreciate you
Ah.
thinking that way.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be in charge of this. I'll be in charge. Don't worry. We'll figure it out together.
I have a surprise for you guys.
Ooh.
Is it a Stugotz exclusive?
I mean, I'm not really. We're going to have to make a decision here, but it's a nice surprise.
Can we
have been-
guess?
You can guess. Go ahead.
Is it donuts?
It is not donuts.
Oh. I'm out of
Seal?
guesses.
The usual Stugotz surprise is, hey buddy, I'm out of town on Monday. I'll be doing the show remote.
Golick is hosting tomorrow with us.
That's tomorrow's surprise. I have a real surprise, not Golick. Me taking off Monday. I have a real surprise here.
Okay, get
and a
into it.
conundrum. The rare surprise that's a conundrum. How about that?
Conundrum.
I got my doubts about how this is gonna.
I have been
shake out.
granted permission from ESPN to bring one of these two people on this week. The other will come on next week or the following week. We will get 2 in 3 weeks. This week is
So-
what we need to focus on. We need to focus on this week.
Backpedaling.
So
No,
Do they know Dan's back next week?
granted permission
I have not.
to have both.
I haven't told them that yet.
All right. So who are the people?
So this week we can either have. It's going to be tough. I'm telling you. Tim Kirchin
Ooh.
or Mina Kimes.
Ooh. We're running out of days this week, by the way.
So the baseball season's coming to an end. We can reach out to them on our own, I've been told, Mike. Baseball season's coming to an end. The audience
I-
loves Kirchin.
from my
NFL starting.
From my last interaction with Tim, you probably want to wait a couple of weeks to have Tim, and it's NFL Week 1 anyway. So let's go with Mina.
You want to go with Mina?
Yeah, surprise.
That's exciting.
I was going to leave it to the audience, but I mean,
Too bad.
They get a poll question, Tim or Mina.
Do we want Mina like previewing games or reviewing games?
I mean, we just want Mina on.
I want to get
right?
excited for football and not baseball because I was just reminded that it's actually still going on.
So
Oh,
you're more
man.
you're more
September.
excited for week 1 of the NFL than you are for the Major League Baseball postseason.
Yeah.
That's everybody, right?
I
I mean,
think
I'm a
so.
baseball fan, and I'm more excited for football.
Put that on the poll, please.
No, don't.
I'm actually
You're gonna be
interested in the
overwhelming.
results.
No,
It's not fair.
it's overwhelming.
Really?
No one's
Overwhelming.
gonna
Over
pick baseball.
85%. Over 85%, I'm
You
predicting.
can give me a World Series Game 7, and I will watch Bills Steelers over it.
No.
Wait,
Yeah.
where do we draw the line? Yankees, Dodgers,
There isn't
game
a single
7.
any football game. Any football game.
Jacksonville?
Who does Cincinnati plays Minnesota? Give me that game.
The Jags do play the Texans this weekend.
You would take that over game 7 of the World Series?
Easily. I want to see how that offense does with Tyrod Taylor and Trevor Lawrence is in that game and Urban Meyer.
Good God.
This one's easy.
Ugh.
Give me a hard one.
Tyrod Taylor getting another chance?
Tyrod Taylor's getting the start.
Wow.
Yeah, yesterday I wanted to ask a question. So is Deshaun Watson starting? And the answer is no. The Texans have taken it upon themselves before the league has acted, before authorities have acted, and Tyrod Taylor has just been named starter for week 1. So that's must-watch TV. Certainly much better than a Game 7 winner-take-all. I would watch it over Game 7 Cubs-Indians. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. With
Wait.
everything that's on the line for those two fan bases.
They're using a roster spot on Deshaun Watson, though? They are. He's on
Yeah.
the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Ridiculous. You would take it really, Mike.
Yeah.
We're talking baseball postseason.
We're talking football. I love football.
Why'd you put the Cubs in there?
Yeah, they won already.
No, I'm saying the Cubs Indians World Series
At
that
the time.
actually
Oh,
happened at
that
the
happened,
time.
okay.
Oh.
At
Where
the time,
everyone's
at
like,
the time,
oh,
okay.
let me see what's going on with this baseball thing because it means so much to the fans. Give me Vikings Bengals.
I
Nah.
think the baseball game everyone would want to see is ALCS Game 7 Yankees Red Sox. You're telling me any football game over Game 7 ALCS Yankees Red Sox?
Yankees Red Sox is a little different because that was
Well-
you're going back in time to that specific Game 7 when the Red Sox had come back from down 3-0.
Correct.
Okay, that I can see.
Well,
Jets
no,
Lions.
And baseball was a lot better in 03.
No, I'm just saying a new Game 7. Like this year, you have an ALCS.
Oh,
that
this
is
year?
Yankees. Yeah. No.
No, no.
Really?
Texans Jags. Let's go.
Jets Lions pretty bad.
Roy, what are you doing? Like Game 7.
Oh, I'm watching baseball all day, man.
No. Changing sports. Game 7 Stanley Cup,
Oh,
Week 1
yeah,
NFL.
hockey.
Oh,
Hockey,
I'd watch a
hockey.
Game 7 Stanley Cup over Jets Lions.
NBA Finals.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Wait, what are the teams?
Exactly.
If it was last year's, nah.
You
If
would-
it was Suns Bucks, I wouldn't watch that over Panthers Jets.
what if it's I'm going to take the heat out of it because that's obvious. What if it's Knicks Lakers?
I'm obviously watching that. New York, LA, just for the Twitter consequences alone.
Trailblazers, Sixers.
Yeah. Trailblazers, Sixers.
Ooh.
I love Lillard. What team is Lillard on?
Roy, I've heard back from the Panthers, and there is ice on it, but it's for Disney on Ice, not for the Panthers.
Oh, okay. I believe Dallas has their ice down right now.
I'm
you
just
got-
saying, you know,
Have you guys done that yet?
I have done that, yeah.
No, I have not done that.
So Dallas
Love Disney on Ice.
Yeah, it's great.
Dallas has an arena that splits between the Stars and Mavs.
Yeah.
They have the ice under the hardwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the Miami Arena used to do that. It didn't seem safe.
No, the water would seep up under the whatever coating they had above the ice. Yeah, that didn't seem safe at all.
Nothing seems safe about that arena.
Nothing seems safe about hockey. But yeah, the Miami Arena. You have a famous memory because you walked out of the Miami Arena and there was a crackhead in your car smoking crack actively.
Acura Integra. I stayed late. That's the only way I remember. That's what jars my memory.
It's
Is
a
that car.
very necessary detail.
That's actually a good note you just brought up. Why would you ever stay late for a game?
They had like this weird. Now nothing was nice at the arena, including the VIP room, but they had this weird VIP room that I was invited to after the game. So I was hanging out in that VIP room, and by the time I got out of the arena, mine was one of maybe 5 cars left in the parking lot.
When did the Miami Arena close? Was it 04? 04? Let's find out because I want to know everyone's final Miami Arena memory.
Okay.
When was the last time you
All
went
right,
to
so
the
it
Miami
opened.
Arena?
It opened in 1988, and it closed in July of 2008.
That's a very short run for an arena.
It really is.
It's staggering how short. It was built for the
Thankfully,
Heat. They were there for 11 years.
right.
They
but
wanted to get out of Overtown. That's what it was.
Thankfully, it was a short run, though. It really was a short run for an arena.
Yeah.
Some of those Knicks Heat playoff series were played at that arena,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
The Chris Childs flip a bird game. He got kicked out, I think.
But what was your final memory there? Because it closed actually a lot later than any of us probably remembered.
I don't have one.
You never went to the
I
Miami
never went
Arena.
to the Miami Arena.
I only have one.
I went to it, but I don't have a single memory.
You were young. I only have one. It's walking out, and there were crackheads smoking crack in my Acura Integra. That's it.
You didn't go to any concerts there? Any wrestling events?
I don't think so.
I went to one of the last things that arena ever staged, which was I was a part of the casted audience for one of the VMAs. Yeah, I was actually in both because they did back-to-back years in Miami. So they did the rehearsals because the award show was at the American Airlines Arena, now known as FTX. And the rehearsal space was a Miami arena. So it was tape on the floors where the stages were, and you do your run-throughs. And I don't know if you remember those VMAs. Why would you? But they put the casted audience to work. Everybody that was in the pit had a part in all the performances, whether it be raising umbrellas, open up flip phones. It was actually kind of sweet because you'd be there at rehearsal and there's just Christina Aguilera hanging out, and I'm not talking to her at all. Not even a head nod. Respecting her space. Unlike other people.
You're not helping your.
But it was cool that Kanye would walk through the crowd. He did Jesus Walks. That's how long ago this was. And he'd walk through and you'd rehearse that a couple of times over with Kanye West. I remember the following year he did Gold Digger with Jamie Foxx, and the crowd was loving Jamie Foxx, and Kanye threw a tantrum. He was so upset that everybody was paying attention to Jamie Foxx, and it was a thing at rehearsal. We all had to kind of like look the other way. It made it awkward.
I mean, that was right after you did Ray.
Yo, yeah. Well, do you remember the Summer of Fox?
Was a big summer.
Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Big summer.
Sirius XM radio show. You did? No,
Yeah,
he got like a
or
big
he
Sirius
was-
XM radio
Now
show.
he's doing direct to streaming movies. I heard he's difficult to work with.
He just did Soul, and that won an Academy Award.
Yeah, but you only had to deal with his voice.
yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, and he recorded his isolated sessions. I've heard he's notoriously difficult to work with.
Little trivia: the AAA opened in 2000. There was one concert there before the first Heat game. Who knows what it was?
Gloria
Fish.
Stefan,
Fish.
Nailed it. Mike did.
do you like
It
fish?
was not Fish.
I do not like Fish. No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Rip off.
Well, yeah, the Dead did it first. They did it better, and the Fish are too jammy for me. Like they will just go on 35-minute jams.
They share a lot of fans,
They do share a lot of fans.
so it was surprising to hear you so quickly say you don't like fish.
Well, when the Grateful Dead, when Jerry died and the Grateful Dead went away, a lot of people gravitated towards Fish because they were looking for that culture, that sound, that type of music, a jam band, and a fan base that would follow them everywhere.
What about Widespread Panic?
No,
That's also got that kind of following.
Pearl Jam has that kind of following. I feel like.
Well, I guess I'm just classifying it as jammy.
I think there are very few bands that have fans that are willing to travel city to city, like make a summer out of their tour. Fish is one of them.
DMB.
Yeah, Fish,
Matthews,
Dave Matthews is another. Pearl Jam is certainly one of them. But no, I didn't gravitate towards Fish. I just hope and pray that one day Bob Weir and Bill and Mickey and Phil would figure something out, and they did. And they figured out that John Mayer was really good at guitar and would attract younger kids. Like, Mike, I'm telling you, I used to play the music in my house. My daughters would say to me, when it was, there was no John Mayer, no Dead and Company, Dad, what is this garbage? And I would tell them it's the Grateful Dead. And then John Mayer joined them, and suddenly that garbage became the coolest thing in the world to them. Untold Crime and Penalties is now out on Netflix. AJ Galante with us. So, AJ, in order to tell this story, because it is fascinating, it's crazy, it's insane, I just want to go back to the beginning, like back to your childhood. If you don't mind, explain who your dad was and exactly what it was like growing up as his son.
Well, I just knew him as Dad. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I still think of him as just Dad. I mean, he owned a very, very large waste disposal business here in Connecticut. Parts of New York, etc. But yeah, I mean, just a hardworking guy. very, strong character. And it was great, still great. And I'm very lucky to have him.
Untold Crime and Penalties is out now on Netflix. The story is about AJ Galante, whose dad bought him a hockey team at the age of 17. He was the president of a hockey team at the age of 17, and we'll get to that in just a second. AJ, in doing research for this, am I reading this correctly? You're a huge wrestling fan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was my first love. I mean, I remember going to my first wrestling event, I want to say 1994, 95 at the Garden in New York. And I was hooked. I mean, at that point, I figured that was my destiny, being steel cage matches and stuff like that. I mean, that was everything to me.
And am I reading correctly where I am looking at a birthday party where you had The Rock attend your birthday? Like, how did that come to be? How did The Rock attend your birthday party?
Well, I don't know if we would have gotten The Rock. I mean, at the time, he was Rocky Maivia. I believe it was 97. I mean, him and Triple H. Triple H wasn't even Triple H yet. He was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he had China, and they weren't main eventers yet. So I think that's how we got a little lucky there. But basically, my father was friends with an old time wrestler, Captain Lou Albano. Mm-hmm. And I guess the day of my birthday party, the WWF had a event in New Haven later that night. So he was able to arrange with Captain Lou to bring some of these guys and girl to the birthday party.
How did he go about arranging that? Like, that had to be priced. Like, AJ, I love the Grateful Dead. They've never showed up at my party to play to play at my birthday. Like, how was this arranged? How did he make this happen?
It's funny. People have been so stuck on my birthday party the past, ever since this documentary dropped. I've never asked my father, and that's the truth. I've never asked how this happened, but I'm just happy it did.
Did you find out, like, as you're growing up, like, a lot of things would happen and you just wouldn't ask dad about it? They just happened?
Well, listen, we were raised, a lot of people where I'm from are raised, you just don't ask too many questions and, good, bad, or indifferent, you just go with the flow sometimes. But, like I said, that's just how it was.
So how do we arrive? Explain to everyone here how we arrive where you're at the age of 17. Your dad, I think you had a hockey injury and maybe a wrestling injury as well. So your dad, you couldn't play hockey anymore. So what he did was bought you a hockey team and made you the president of the hockey team. How did we arrive in that spot?
Oh, man. Listen, so, I like I said, I played hockey throughout my life. And, my senior year of high school, I ended up hurting, damaging my knee very badly, very early on to my senior year. So I couldn't play the rest of the year. To be honest, it would have been a long shot if I could play college hockey. I mean, I was okay. I wasn't great. You know what I mean? So I was more of a role player. And, I tell the story all the time. And sometimes I think people think it's an exaggeration, because it's such a nonchalant thing, but it's really true. It was just a Sunday evening. We were sitting there having dinner. I believe it was in March of 2004. And I just remember my dad, very nonchalantly looking at me saying, "Hey, listen, I'm going to start a minor league hockey team here in Danbury. And would you like to be the president of the team?" Now, my dad's a very serious guy. So, I take everything he does and say seriously. But even for me, that seemed like I thought he was playing around a little bit. And I thought he was just playing with me. So I was kind of playing with him back. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, Dad, I'll do that. No problem." And he just kind of nodded and we went about eating and here we are.
AJ, one of the underrated things about the movie is that as a 17-year-old, you put together a good team that was competing for the championship. Now, I mean, we find out later on that maybe there were some things, cash, bags full of cash, and that's how you were getting some of these better players. And maybe you went a little bit over the salary cap by like tripling it. But, how early on did you know, hey, you know what? To make a splash, we need to get a Gretzky. And then you signed Wayne Gretzky's brother.
The great one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny. I remember when it came out that, we had the team and this and that. Again, we're here in the Northeast. I mean, we're an hour north of, New York City. And to be honest with you, at the time, Danbury wasn't like a hockey hotbed. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like it wasn't like people were like, we didn't sell out season tickets the minute, we announced this team. So, we knew kind of early on we needed to make, we needed to make a splash. And, we saw that we saw that Brent was available as a free agent. And, we kind of put it out there that we signed Gretzky. And people were just like, what the hell is going on? And
Right.
that's all we kind of put out there. We signed Gretzky. People were just, and I think honestly, that's the only reason why we got the amount of media we did at our April Fool's press conference when we announced the team formally. And when we kind of mentioned, we're our first player is Brent Gretzky. It was almost like a cartoon. It was like everything went silent. And it was just wild, man.
Was he any good at hockey?
Well, that's the thing is I feel bad whenever this gets brought up because honestly, I got to tell you, I got a lot of respect for Brent because, look, if I'm Michael Jordan's brother, I'm definitely not playing basketball. You know what I'm saying? And,
Right.
I had a lot of respect for him. I'll tell you, look, he's not his brother, but I think he realized he wasn't his brother and he carved out his own niche. He had a very good career. At that level, he was one of the top, point getters every single season. So he could play. And, I feel bad because I don't want him to seem like he was just like a novelty item. Look, don't get me wrong. We definitely wanted the media splash, but he could play. And he was,
Splash.
he was a big part of that first season.
You never called him by his first name. I mean, why would he think that?
Well, yeah, no, I know. I see where you went there with it. Yeah.
I've always thought that about because Michael Jordan's son played, I think, at UCF, right? And LeBron's kids are playing, but there's no way LeBron's kids are going to be as good as LeBron. So why do they go and play basketball? Because they're just going to ultimately probably disappoint, right?
Well, I think it's the same reason why, I don't know, maybe in a very smaller scale, it's probably the same reason why I've always, kind of stood with my father and kind of followed a lot of things he was doing or be a part of things he's wanted, me to be a part of. I mean, maybe it's a connection thing. Maybe it's a personal challenge. Look, I know for a fact I've lived in a shadow for a long time. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, my father has done, just amazing things, not on a worldwide scale, but where we're from, I mean, he's done amazing things coming from nothing. And, when you grow up like that, it's very easily, they use that analogy, a kid like me, you kind of get, born and put on third base and people think you hit a triple. So sometimes you have to prove to people extra hard that, hey, listen, yes, I was very fortunate in life, but I can do some things too. So maybe that's a personal challenge for, a kid like LeBron's son.
Untold Crime and Penalties is available now on Netflix. AJ, one of the best characters in the movie was T-Bone, the equipment manager, who I think was one of your coaches as a kid, and he would check kids into the boards because he was trying to teach them toughness or whatever. He got suspended from the UHL for things that he was pulling with the other team's equipment. What was he doing besides stealing the opposing goalie's equipment, giving them horrible towels, and shutting off the hot water?
Well, listen, I guess I wasn't there for some of it, so I guess it's all an alleged thing. I was always in the office and stuff, but from what I've heard, there's been things that, we've heard complaints such as, goalies' equipment goes missing. There was also talks of seeing an anonymous stick boy put Visine in, the water coolers, things of those nature. Look, Tommy is a nut job and I love him. He's a dear friend. He's always been that way. Like you said, I remember being in 6th grade and he's just dummying kids into the boards. And I was just like, this guy is insane. And he's a character, but he fit right in. We were all characters. Back then it was a different time. I mean, we used to sit there and we would sit there, me, him, my dad, we'd be eating McDonald's or something in the office and we'd be thinking of what can we do to piss off the commissioner this week? Because we were going to get in trouble anyway. So, it was almost like we're going to get the call anyway. So let's just get our money's worth this weekend.
I was just going to ask you that because it seemed like that was your guys' favorite thing to do. Aside from the attention, it was let's see how we can piss off the commissioner this week. And he seemed to always be upset with you. So was there anything that you guys thought about doing that you're like, this is definitely going to do it, maybe we shouldn't do it? Because it seemed like you guys didn't stop at anything. Was there anything that you came up with that you thought, you know what, that's too far, let's not do that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of those things where, like anything in life, when you do something, you always seem to, the next thing you want to top it, you want to top it, you want to top it. The problem is we were doing things that when we were thinking about ways to top it, like you said, it was insane. I mean, let me put it to you this way. If we had a third season, which unfortunately we didn't, and maybe fortunately we didn't, it could have really gotten bad. I mean, just
your dad punched a ref in the face and got arrested. How much worse could we have gotten?
And then you promised the commissioner you'd never do anything again.
Allegedly.
The video is very grainy, but I don't personally know of that.
Wait, the equipment manager, Tommy, is who ordered the code red, AJ? I mean, is Tommy doing it on his own? Like, who ordered the code red there?
Listen, I don't want to throw Tommy under the bus. It was we had a very large team. It was a very, there was some joint efforts, and sometimes guys go rogue too. I got to be honest with you. So I don't know. It was, listen, it's been 17 years. My memory's starting to go a little bit now, but it's it was a lot of fun.
That's convenient. Why was Brad Wingfield, Roy? You're gonna love this guy. Why was Brad Wingfield such an important signing for you?
Oh man, I mean, listen, he at that level of minor league. I mean, he still is. He's just a minor league hockey legend. I mean, back in those days, hockey was a very physical sport. I don't know if it's that anymore, but back then that was the part of the culture of hockey. And just he's one of those guys, almost like, you hear people talk about Mike Tyson in his prime and guys being beat before he even entered the ring. That was Brad Wingfield. Brad Wingfield, when you suited up and you saw him during warmups across from you, it was going to be a rough night. And he was just a guy that fit what we were looking to do. And the intimidation factor along with him before he even stepped on the ice was just tremendous.
Did your dad call Brad Wingfield? Did he call down to the box there and ask him to fight before the first?
Well, no, that's not allegedly.
I know your memory's fading. Okay, I understand that. Okay, but he did make the call and he told Wingfield to fight everyone before you dropped the puck.
That definitely wasn't alleged. Well, see, the story's a little skewed. It wasn't really necessary. Back in those days, I don't know if you remember, there was Nextels. So it was kind of like a walkie-talkie thing. And, we couldn't waste time to the, connection, and the phone would ring. So sometimes it'd be that chirp, that bleep, bleep, you send word through sometimes. And then when we got in trouble about doing that, we had hand gestures and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. We always try to find a way around it some way.
But you wanted your team to play a certain way and make a splash and stand out. And the reason Wingfield was so important was because he had 576 penalty minutes the year before. It's a record.
Listen, people could say what they want, but minor league hockey, we knew, listen, it had to be entertaining for people. Where we're from in Danbury, it's a blue collar town. People aren't gonna, kick the doors down to watch, guys, don't get me wrong. That was a dirty little secret, is we had a very solid team that can play, but we got the eyeballs on the ice just due to just the type of tough guys we had. And at that time, like I said, it was a different time. I mean, people wanted to see that. And it was like the minute the puck dropped that first game, it was almost like, a fever pitch here, and it just took off.
AJ Galante with us. Untold Crime and Penalties is out now on Netflix. Excuse me. Give us your best Wingfield story. The best Wingfield being Wingfield story, AJ.
Oh, well,
Did you understand my question?
Yeah. I would say the best Wingfield story for me on a personal level was when he was rehabbing his leg. Going into the second season. I mean, he stayed in Danbury, during the offseason, guys go back home and stuff, but he stayed with us. He stayed in my house, and he was rehabbing here locally, and he was like the crazy big brother I never had. So what we would used to do is every night we would play on PlayStation. We play NHL, whatever the year the video game was. And we would play for hours and hours. And we bonded. I know it's probably not the story people want to hear, but we bonded so much, me and him, that, you know, to a point where we're family. And he was in this big brace. He couldn't really move without help at the time. And I would just be chirping him and beating him in video games and just egging him on. And he'd be pissed because he couldn't get up and pound me, really. He'd be throwing stuff at me. It was an amazing time. But as far as on the ice, I mean, oh my God. I mean, he would just the fight would never stop with him. I mean, he'd get into these modes sometimes where, you know, the refs get in at some point, and he'd always find a way to take a guy down, very like MMA-ish. And he would get a guy down. Usually that's when the refs step in, a guy stop, and man, he would not stop. And refs would be like hanging on him, hanging on his arms, and he'd be swinging. And you got these like 180-pound refs hanging on to him, and he'd be swinging them around like rag dolls. It was wild.
Did he come back just for that fight? Because his career was supposed to be over after the injury, and it seemed like he was coming back just for the fight.
Absolutely. I believe so. I think, again, that injury was so gruesome. And, everybody was like, he'll never, we love Brad, but he'll never come back from this. Never. It's not going to. And you see it all the time, guys that, athletes that just have this will to get back. I watched him rehab that summer, and it hurt me to watch him because he was physically grueling rehab. And, when we got in the preseason, the official schedule going into, the 05-06 season, we saw, I believe it was December 3rd, Kalamazoo was coming to Danbury. I mean, it was almost like his rehab doubled. I mean, they were like, Brad, you got to stop. Like, you got to rest a little too. And he had to get back to that. It just, he wasn't going to, one way or the other, he was going to be on the ice. Even if he was in a suit in the box, he would have jumped down if he had to.
Would you guys have signed One-Eyed Willie if he had two eyes?
Of course not. Of course not.
I've never been asked that question, but probably not. But I tell you, David, I mean, I tell people the story. David, the first season, played on a team called the Port Huron Beacons. And I remember, they weren't in our division, so we only saw them twice that first season. And the first time he comes out, he's got this big fishbowl, face mask. And I was asking one of the scratch players on our team who was with me. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And they're like, oh, I was like, why does he have that mask? And they told me the story of what happened to him. So at first I felt bad for him, but then he just started scoring 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals. He had a hat trick by the second period, and I was pissed. So I was trying to heckle him, and he kept blowing me kisses. He was winking at me with one eye, and he scored 4 or 5 goals. He's honestly one of the most amazing athletes I personally ever saw. And, it's sad to say, I feel like he never got the opportunity. I don't know, the NHL, maybe they were just a little wary of it, but that guy could have played in the NHL. I mean, he was a sniper beyond sniper. He was unreal.
Untold Crime and Penalties is out now on Netflix. AJ Galante is with us. Before we let you go on the way out here, Drake was wearing a jersey of yours on social media. What's your relationship with him?
Well, what's today? Wednesday? I mean, our relationship started last Wednesday. I mean, I was sitting at home after, this documentary premiered, and one way or the other, we started getting into a direct message conversation, and we eventually spoke on the phone. And I got to tell you, what a humble, great guy. And he was telling me how he had saw the documentary, and he really felt something from it. And he really wanted a jersey. He was dropping an album, and he was really, really, really trying to get a jersey. And he's like, I need it tomorrow. He's like, I need it tomorrow. And I'm like, damn. I was like, I didn't, I wasn't expecting things to take off. I didn't have an extra jersey. So I gave him basically the one that I had framed, my personal one that was framed in my office at my boxing gym. And I paid someone to, drive up to Buffalo. He sent someone to Buffalo, and I did not expect him to post it on Instagram, but it's been madness ever since.
I want a jersey, AJ.
consider it done. You get me an address, a number, a name, and I got you guys.
Done. We'll get it to you. We'll get it to you in a minute. Okay.
Absolutely.
We appreciate the time. The story. You seem oddly proud of all of this, and you should be, by the way.
I don't know how to feel about it. I'm just like, I wake up every day now and it's like, it's the weirdest thing because people love talking about it. It brings me a lot of pride because it was something special we tried to do here. I mean, at the time, look, we live in an era today where everyone's trying to get famous so badly. They'll do anything. And I'm not saying I'm famous, but everyone's trying to get their story out there. I mean, me and my dad, we had no intentions on trying to be famous or we just tried to make each other laugh. We try to make our city laugh and have fun and give us an identity. I would have never expected this in 2021.
Untold Crime and Penalties out now on Netflix. AJ Galante, thank you for the time, man. It's a fascinating story.
Thank you, fellas. Get me that address. We'll get those jerseys over.
All right. We'll get it to you right now.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy, have you heard the Tanya Snyder, who is the co-CEO of the Washington football team, says the franchise is their naming search is down to 3 candidates. This according to Adam Schefter.
Lay it on me.
Okay. Now, there are more than 3 candidates listed here. I'm wondering which one you guys like the best. The Washington football team has narrowed down its new nickname to these choices: the Red Hogs, the Defenders, the Presidents, the Armada, the Brigade. Jesus Christ.
Brigade. No, just
yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tongue twister.
Brigade.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Commanders.
Brigade.
Brigade.
Just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, Brigade.
The Brigade.
Somebody had to say it.
Thank you.
The Red Wolves and the football team. Now, I have grown to like the football team, but if I have to choose from one of those, not name the football team, I think, Billy, Washington Presidents makes the most sense to me. It sounds good. Has a nice ring to it. The Presidents.
I don't really like any of those names.
No, all of them.
None of them?
Honestly. No, they're all pretty bad. And the Armada
Terrible.
seems like something they may have to change again in the future.
These are terrible. I mean, looking.
The Washington Presidents, you rattled off that list and you say that one's getting clowned more than any of the other names, and you like the way that sounds.
I think they're all.
What would their logo be? The Washington Presidents.
I don't know, but listen. I'm choosing from a bunch of bad options. I like the football team. I'd keep it the football team.
I hate Washington football team.
You don't like a team just being called
No.
the football team?
Not when every other team has a nickname.
What team do you play for? The football team.
I don't like that. They're not the
No?
football team. They're fledgling. They might be okay this year because they've got, a weak division. I don't want to call that team the football team.
What do you like from these choices?
I don't like any of them either, but I'd go with Red Hogs because, you got Red, which is a part of their name history.
And the Hogs,
And
yeah.
the Hogs, which is also a part of their history. You combine them. Hogs used to be a nickname for that football team. Red Hogs seems like it makes sense.
What a different time in the NFL, where the Redskins ran the ball 1,000 times a game with John Riggins, threw it like 5 times a game with Theismann, had an offensive line called the Hogs, and Mark Mosley, their kicker, won MVP. It was a different time.
You can't be the Defenders. You're setting yourself up to be ridiculed when you're giving up a ton of points, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, the Defenders was the XFL team name.
Why don't you like the Presidents?
The Washington Presidents?
Yeah.
Because it's a terrible name. I don't even know what
Also, let's be honest, being a president in the last few years completely devalued. Not even cool anymore. No one wants to have anything to do with any presidents.
what's our logo? Taft?
What would the logo be? Taft. You entered the game. You went to the funniest president, both by name and physically, I believe.
I think by name you go for Millard Fillmore.
Fillmore.
Millard Fillmore is going to kick your ass on Sunday. There's no chance in hell. Suey prediction. Mark it down. There's no chance in hell that football team gets named the Washington Presidents.
I think it will be named the Washington Presidents. How about that for a Suey nomination?
All right. So what do you want to wager? A little friendly bet here. I've got the field. You've got the Washington Presidents. I'll give you 2-1 odds on it. Because I have the field.
Well,
2-1 in shame.
Why are you getting the field? That's not fair. Choose one.
Because you're saying, because I said that there's no way it's going to be the president's, and you feel strongly that it is.
You definitively said that would be the team name. That's how the bet
You're
would
such
work.
a weasel,
You have
man.
to get it right.
You're a weasel.
I would take the Washington residents over the Washington presidents, honestly.
Would you really? I like the president's. Nice ring to it.
Okay.
I do. It's all about the ring to the name. Like, it's got to work. Washington Red Hogs? Does that really work?
No. Does Washington football team work?
It's growing on me.
Just because you're hearing other people say it over and over again. That's the only that you'll get used to Red Hogs.
Smetty, you like the football team?
I like the football team, and the Red Hogs. I just think of Arkansas. Like they've already got the whole pig thing down there. We can't have another little piggy. Although I googled Red Hogs just now, they're really, really cute.
All right,
I would
Mike,
have one as a pet.
what's the
Right.
wager here, Mike? What do you want to wager?
What about the cicadas?
The monuments.
How about this?
The Monuments is a decent one. That's good.
In honor of the grid of death coming back.
Wait. Monuments, Roy. We can't do monuments anymore. Monuments are on
Yeah,
the hot seat right
It's just
now.
a blanket. I
Okay.
just saw a Robert E. Lee monument come down. So-
Okay, yeah.
So here's the bet. In honor of the grid of death
Statue
coming back, a bonus grid of death bet between you and me. We have to dress like a president, whoever's right or wrong here. So if you're wrong, you have to dress like a famous president.
Like Taft?
We'll have to make a conscious
Let's
effort
make it
to
Taft.
make it both funny
Right.
and also culturally sensitive.
Taft.
And I will do the same. I will dress up like a president if they're named the presidents. And if they're not, you dress up like a president. I'll
Okay.
dress up like two presidents if they're named the presidents, and hence a 2-1 odds.
Seems like a pretty
This
easy one for me.
Seems like a really lame bet and a horrible payoff, but we'll go with it.
So you're going to go Taft, and who's the other one that Whittingham had?
I'd like to be Millard Fillmore. Powdered wig, I think, is good, but I don't want to dress up like Thomas Jefferson. Problematic.
Is a problem.
All right, that's on. Taft for me, and Taft and Fillmore for you.
Well, president's TBD. President's TBD.
I want to agree on presidents right now.
Well, we got to vet the president.
Yeah, vet the president.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
bet the That's a good idea, Mike.
Yeah.
That's why you're excellent at your job. For a trailer or
This
what
is
it was?
unreal.
If
I mean,
it's
it's not
2 minutes,
unreal.
how is it or
It
episode?
was
if
it
it's 2
was
minutes?
4 minutes. I watched it. It helped me. You're an asshole, Billy.
He's the asshole.
Billy just saved
You just
you.
lied to our faces 20 seconds ago.
I watched the video that Billy sent me.
Billy sent you a trailer and asked you repeatedly. I've been on the text chain.
Yes.
He's asked you to watch the episode since the beginning of the week. You said, "Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it." I told Billy a couple days ago, "No way he does it." Billy knew this too, probably.
I watched it last night just in case.
Well,
I
it was
think
very clear that Billy watched it.
I think Billy asked for me to watch the trailer, not the episode. I think he knew I
Stugotz.
wouldn't watch an episode.
Stugotz, man.
I'm going to go back and look. Hold on. Let me sift through
Your
these.
initial
Let me-
I told
response
you-
was to lie.
Let me sift
Stugotz.
through all these grid of death.
It was
suggestions.
supposed to
Hold
be
on.
yesterday, and I said, let's do it Wednesday, just in case you have a little extra time. It wasn't to buy you time to watch a 5-minute
Not
YouTube
so
video.
certain. Stugotz, can you watch this for tomorrow on Netflix? AJ, who was the 17-year-old running the team, is supposed to join us tomorrow at 9. Now, what's attached to it is a link to
Forget
YouTube.
what's attached to it. Can you watch this on Netflix?
Yeah, I
Who
thought he
goes
meant,
to
can you
Netflix
watch-
for trailers?
When he says, "Can you watch this?" I thought he
On
meant the thing that was
Netflix.
attached to it, but you could see how I would make that mistake. It's an
Okay.
innocent
There's
mistake.
more. Hold on a
Dude.
second.
Yeah, okay.
There has to be more to this.
What are the odds Stugotz reads any chapters from Rick Ross's book for tomorrow?
Oh my God. Well, we've already listened.
Rick
the Rick
Ross
Ross
is coming
thing.
out
I already.
tomorrow?
Rick Ross is coming on tomorrow, and Stugotz, I already got Renee Montgomery to come on also to help out with that at the same time. So you that should be some help. I was a little bit worried about how you would conduct a Rick Ross interview.
Why is Rick Ross joining us tomorrow, Billy?
He wrote a book.
Awesome. Yeah, wait, is that the same book that book has been like super revealing?
I don't know.
It's called The Perfect Day to Boss Up, A Hustler's Guide to Building Your Empire.
Okay, so this one's different. Well, he's written several books now.
I have a PDF if you want it.
Who's going to read it?
Well,
You.
Huh? I had no idea he was coming on tomorrow.
Is it available via audiobook
maybe.
in his voice?
But Billy, you see how you see the
No.
miscommunication
No.
here, no?
No.
You said,
no.
can you watch this? And there's a video attached to it. So I watched the video.
Please.
I was so proud of myself that I watched 5 minutes.
Can you once? How old are you now?
48.
All right.
Is
48.
that true?
Is that? Are you lying to me right now?
I do the year down thing because I don't like to admit my age. I've been doing that
His
forever.
birthday was like last week, and he
was-
told us he was 49.
Wait a minute. You're
That was
lying
last
about
week.
that?
This week I'm 48.
Unreal. I was gonna ask you at this age, just once, throw your hands up and say I lied.
Well, no, I usually do.
But I asked you how old you were, and you lied to me.
But I've been doing that for 20 years, admitting that I'm a liar. In
Yesterday at
this particular case,
5:15.
miscommunication. Go ahead.
Yesterday at 5:15,
Yeah.
quote, also, Stugotz, remember to watch Netflix Untold Crime and Penalties tonight. The guy from the movie is on tomorrow at 9.
All right. You should have attached that, though.
Oh, Stugotz,
Why can't you tell the truth?
How about this?
Stop lying.
Can I ask you something? For Rick Ross tomorrow,
Yeah.
I have two things.
Mhm.
I have a PDF of the book, and I have a list of chapter summaries. Will you read the chapter summaries?
Perhaps.
It's not even a page and a half long.
Yes.
It's just 2 sentences of what every chapter is about.
Yes, all books should be like that. Yes. Yes, I will read that. Send it to me. They sent me the book, by the way, in the mail.
Who did?
I don't know, the publishing company.
To your house?
Yeah.
This
Where
is
did they
an
get the address from?
unnecessary
Where
lie.
did they get the address from?
I'm getting
How
a
did they
bit-
know your address?
Wait, hold on. I did this to myself. Okay, I've done it to myself. I am going to get my wife right now to take a picture of the book that was sent to my house yesterday and show it to you guys.
I think
Will you
you're gonna
believe
get
me
your.
then?
I think your lies know no end to
Here's
the
the
limits it
thing.
would go. You would send Abby out to a bookstore to buy it.
You can
Here's
watch.
the thing.
You ask her to send it, Mike. You ask her to send it.
Here's the thing about his lies. Now I'm starting to wonder if it's possible because he says it with such conviction because I know that a book was sent to his house before, and I know that I said Stugotz is going to be doing the interview. So it's possible that the person used the previous address to send him the book, but I'm doubting myself because of how you're saying this to me. And I don't know if you're lying or not.
The book was mailed to my house. Mike, you
But-
can text Abby and
Okay.
ask her to take a picture of it.
Did you wonder why a Rick Ross book was coming to your house?
Of
since
course I
moments ago
did.
you didn't know Rick Ross was coming on the show?
Yes, it was weird to me. It was odd. I figured he was coming on in a few weeks when Dan was back. I didn't, like it was odd. Yes, and my wife said, "Why is there a Rick Ross book here?"
Dan will be back this weekend. Dan will be back this weekend for something that we're doing on Sunday, which will be really fun to do. So
Okay.
if you're not listening, audience, we've heard your pleas for Dan.
In the first chapter, he talks about COVID. So you could talk about that with Rick Ross. Some
Okay.
good stuff in this book, this chapter summary, Stugotz.
Send me the mini
You might like
chapters,
it.
Bill. I will.
Why won't you just admit to a lie?
Ooh, Stugotz, you're not going to like chapter 2.
because I'm not.
Ross
lying.
talks about how to set aside excuses to achieve your goals.
Oh, that's my guy. Love Ricky.
Try calling him Ricky tomorrow. See how that flies.
Don't do that.
How about
I would
Rossi?
avoid that.
Just call him boss.
Mr. Ross, I think.
Chapter 5. Ross shares his insight on time management.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Chapter 6, Stugotz, you like the title. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Time management is a problem for me. Organization.
Telling the truth.
Is there a chapter on that?
There's a chapter on Ross is the proud owner of 25 Wingstops. He discusses the
Yeah.
importance of finding business opportunities that align with your passions. That actually is very Stugotz.
What's your passion, Stugotz?
Grateful Dead.
Gambling.
Sports. Weed.
Lying.
Lying.
You wanted to own your own dispensary, right?
I will one day.
When someone else does all the work
Yes.
and you can just come up with a licensing agreement for your name.
We're on the verge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stugotz, chapter
Right.
12, bosses stay students.
We'll end that on the lying thing. The hosts of the Shutdown Fullcast, Holly Anderson, Spencer Hall, now with us here, and we've been alluding to it both on their popular podcast, the Shutdown Fullcast, and here on the Batard Show, as well as social media networks. We're going to be working together in some form or fashion, and that begins this weekend. Guys, what exactly are we promoting?
we're going to be doing the Full Cast After Dark. Full Cast After Dark. That's going to be on Twitter Spaces immediately after the end of the late game. We didn't really want to put a fine time on it because college football's terrible at meeting deadlines. So when the last big game on Saturday night ends, we will be live on Twitter Spaces with myself, Holly, Jason Kirk, and Ryan Nanny talking about everything that happened on college football's fine fields on this here internet. Holly, did I miss anything?
No, other than we reserve the right to break in early if the 8:30 game is boring.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
We can do that.
Yeah, be malleable. And for those that subscribe to the Shutdown Fullcast, this is a totally different show that'll show up on the Batard and Friends feed. So enjoy it live on Twitter Spaces, and then enjoy the podcast following the airing of this live show on Twitter Spaces. You guys go way back with our new cast member, Jessica Smetana, don't you?
Oh, we do. We do work together at SB Nation. Jessica, by the way, I owe Jessica an apology. I've never gotten to do this face to face. When I left SB Nation, I tried to thank everybody in the building. When I went to New York, I sat across from Jessica. And who stiff-armed Jessica in the long list of thank yous? Me. I did. I tried to remember everybody, and I forgot Jessica. Apologies, Jessica.
You forgot something that's so out of character.
I mean, that doesn't work as an excuse when you're grown. It doesn't. When you're like 7, that works. But I'm way older than that. So my apologies, Jessica.
I appreciate the face-to-face over Zoom apology. I will say, Spencer, I think about you way too often, not just because I listen to the full cast, obviously, but also every time I go to an airport. I think if I'm running late, I'm like, would Spencer Hall be later than I'm running right now? And the answer is always yes. So then it makes me feel better that I'm going to actually make my flight.
Define late. What is late?
For me, it's getting to the airport with less than 30 minutes to board.
I mean, that's pretty good. I'm proud of you, because that's 30. That's a knife's edge right there, especially with TSA. The wild card in all of this is always TSA. So I'm proud. I feel like if you've learned anything from me, it's that 30 minutes is definitely living danger.
That is the perfect arrival time, Jessica. What are we talking about here? If you get there, the less amount of time I wait before the flight is the optimal wait time.
No, I agree. But I always try to time that out. And then if I'm running a little bit late, then I'm like, why didn't I build in more time? I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. Like, I live in New York, although now I live in Miami, but I'm in New York right now. And it takes 45 minutes to drive 8 miles to the airport. And then I get mad at myself. I'm like, the BQE is a parking lot. And then I'm like, Spencer wouldn't have even left his hotel yet. So I should not.
Right.
I should just pat myself on the back for that.
Yes, you got to adopt the Spencer strategy too of A, bull in a china shopping your way through all this on the power of sheer charm, but B, the key to getting through, as someone who's been stuck behind Spencer late at the airport more times than I care to remember, the key is just to tell everyone that you meet that you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Like,
You
save
walk
them
right up.
save them the trouble of thinking it, save them the trouble of thinking that you're an idiot and trying to think of a nice way to say it out loud, and just walk right up to the Delta help desk and go, "Hi, I'm a moron," which I've actually seen him do. It's incredibly effective.
Okay, I've done this before and been like, I'm so sorry, I'm so fucking stupid. And they're like, whoa, like, be a little easy on yourself. Like, that's yeah. I'm like, I'm so good at talking shit about myself that it makes the other person uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I just did the Doc Holliday. I had a woman one time in Atlanta do the play action for me. She set it up because she showed up after we'd been locked out, like door shut, you're not getting in. I walked up at Southwest and I was about to be the first person up to be like, hey, I got to get another plane. Woman cuts in front of me and goes, I'm sorry. How dare you shut the door on me? And 5 minutes later, she finishes. And the woman's face did not change behind the counter, just, stone. And 5 minutes, this goes off and she blames everyone but herself, walks away. And I walk up and I'm like, it's my fault, right? And she's like, baby, we're going to get you on the next flight. Here you go. There we go. 10:15, no charge. Here's a drink ticket. Bye.
Holly, I got to enjoy the Gulch, which was not a tailgate area I was familiar with when I booked my tickets to Atlanta. Is that the old Georgia Dome site? Because you descend like you're descending into the seventh ring of hell. And that's the fun tailgate experience where they decide to put a bunch of Porta-Johns just on one side of the parking lot and not all sides. So liquor instead of beer, I would imagine. And then there's Chick-fil-A inside the stadium, and everyone seems nice, and they open up the butthole roof, and it just seems like a very pleasant Atlanta experience. A very nice facility you have over there.
And then the game starts. Yeah, setting aside well, it's an Atlanta tradition of, bulldozing neighborhoods to build stadiums, and we're all having a good time this morning. We don't need to go into all that here, but they did a really good job with the new stadium, despite the fact that it shouldn't have had to exist in the first place. You guys, Miamians came up, I think, way more prepared than the Alabama contingent to see the robot butthole open in the ceiling. I've only been for Atlanta United games so far because I don't mess with the poison of the Falcons. And yeah, it's a really beautiful experience. They should probably not build another one for at least like 5 years.
The Atlanta fans were actually nice and welcoming. The neutrals that were just there for the party. The Alabama fans were also nice in the sort of aren't you cute kind of way, which I really appreciated because they knew what was going to happen. Spencer, you've had some altercations in Atlanta with Alabama fans, haven't you?
I did. Don't let them be nice to you because they're not nice. That's all fake. This is all part of.
Yeah, you kind of shortcut that when you call a grown woman a Walmart. That was a senior citizen, and you called her a Walmart person.
Here's where Florida fans and Miami fans overlap. That the South runs out somewhere just north of Gainesville. There's a little bit of South that bleeds into Gainesville, but otherwise there's a whole lot of northeastern brevity and getting straight to the point about your business when you get south of there. And
being mean as snakes.
Being completely mean. I was headed to the 2009 game where we got housed by Alabama, and I was wearing a Florida shirt, and an old woman who I imagine doesn't like people voting, she grabbed she grabbed my shirt, like tugged on it, right? First of all, you put your nasty little crepe paper hands on me, okay? That's step one that gets me infuriated. Step two, she goes, Walmart shirt. And I didn't want to say this. It just happened. I just whipped my head around and I went Walmart person. And I just hung her right before the uptake could happen, because I was like, it's going to take about 5 seconds to get to the cerebral cortex. She's going to intake it. That's probably about an 8-second reply. The husband, who I know is deaf as hell, but probably want to fight anyway. That's a good 15 seconds. I have 23 seconds to get. I can leave. I can be gone and out of there. And I was.
Yeah, not a lot of. Well, I saw a couple of videos. There was some altercations. I don't know why, but Alabama's fans, they do this pom-pom thing, which is not very intimidating. And the fight with the Miami person. So, like, Alabama football team will win the game, but the pregame and the actual fights that happen in the stands during the game, Miami fans are at a bit of an advantage. But the weapon of choice for Crimson Tide fans is a pom-pom, which doesn't exactly strike the fear of God into anybody.
The weapon of choice for Miami fans is just a switchblade out of the pocket, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say everybody in the Miami fan base thinks they're Jorge Masvidal, right? Like they're all just like, yeah, bro. I mean, I did like 3 classes. I'm good to go, right? I've been taking the testosterone supplement I got in a black box at Kroger. I'm good to go, right?
No Kroger's. Probably the Shell gas station.
I'm sorry. The gas station.
The Miami football fan medical cabinet is like 90% supplemented by the gas station. Down here, everything.
The number of, I want to know, like by percentage, Miami Hurricanes fans of any age, whether they need it or not, has to have one of the highest percentages of just one cycle, bro.
Yeah.
I just want to do one. Just one.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
my
kill
cycle,
me.
bro.
It wouldn't hurt.
It just came off my cycle, bro, or just one cycle, bro, basically.
No, just one of the two.
A reporter sent out a tweet saying that a disgruntled, sad Miami fan was almost on the verge of tears in the concourse, and a woman friend of his was saying, come on, Brad, it's not the end of the world. And I saw that tweet. I'm like, well, Brad is actually a student at the University of Miami. There's no one in the actual stands outside of the student section that supports Miami that is named Brad. That is someone that went there, and he commuted from a different state. There are no Brads in West 32. I've never run into a Brad. Yeah, there is no Brads. There's no Brads that are just fans. Miami's such a weird school because the expectations from the fan base and the nation is that they should be really good, because of their history, but they have a student base of 17,000, where Ohio State is 66,000. And you could just extrapolate that number and just put exponents on top of it when it comes to an alumni base that's willing to give to it. Miami fans don't want to hear reason, though, Holly, when they get throttled by Alabama, but Alabama does that to everybody.
Yeah, what's the fun of listening to reason? But also you've got the longstanding institutional problem, and I'm sure they wouldn't call it a problem, but Miami, the school, doesn't want the Hurricanes that the rest of us want. Miami, the school, wants to be like, hey, y'all are here because you couldn't get into Duke. Welcome.
Accurate,
man. Come on.
It's accurate.
Oh, man.
It's
Chris
accurate.
Whittingham's heart just shattered into 35,000 pieces.
Oh man,
and
I'm sorry.
all
Did you
saw
get
it.
in? Did you get into Duke? I'm sorry.
I didn't even try. Why would I want to go to Duke?
Basketball. You'd be proud of their history, but it's true.
Because you're from New Jersey and you can't get into the Ivies. Come on, man, keep up.
Despite his
This
surname.
all goes downhill. Listen, I went to Tennessee. You think I don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, listen, no shame on safety schools here, man. I applied to 2 schools. I applied to Florida and I applied to Vanderbilt. I got in both, and one of them was like, here's the bill. And the other one was like, we would like to pay for you. Guess where I went? Safety schools for life.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl has really asserted itself. We were talking about this yesterday. I think their social media presence has really made this game feel important. And then you actually watch the game and one team has 2 rushing yards. And it's a team that's perennially in the college football playoff. I actually saw that game and I was like, Georgia's defensive line can actually compete with the likes of Alabama. If Alabama plays like a B- game and Georgia plays the game of their lives, maybe this is the team that can take them down. That's always kind of the team that's discussed in the SEC. Or was that just
this part? I love this part of the season. I love this part of the season where everyone who's not from Georgia convinces themselves that this is the year. This is the year Georgia will not fuck this up. And it's just made like them ratcheting their expectations up so high so early, because this is Spencer, is this the last? When's the last time that you saw any unit of a Georgia team and you went, oh, that is so fun to watch?
Probably 2 years ago with that defense, but that was it. Like
That
fun
defense is alive. It's different this year, though. Do you know what it? Okay, I'm going to invoke a memory that's very painful for Georgia fans, but do you know what it reminds me of? Imagine this defense contending with the Kellen Moore offense that Boise State came in with when they wrecked them in the Georgia Dome.
Yeah, like
This is a
multiple
defense
all over the
that
place.
could have competed with that level of like cerebral operation.
The coolest thing to me is how they move sideways. Like this team would be like national champions in tag.
Yeah, they're like
Because
millipedes.
You cannot get around them. Like every time Clemson tried, because Clemson couldn't get the run game going at all up the middle, so they tried to go laterally, and it was like watching somebody get a toe caught in a door slamming shut every time they tried to do it. Just caught side by side. They are freaky fast, weird, and like they had 7 sacks by 6 different players. Try keying on one of them; it doesn't work.
And when one
Now we have to mention the one guy who got 2.
Oh yeah, N'Kobe Dean, who dressed like free jazz legend N'Kobe Dean, who's also an engineering genius. I think he's got like a 4.0 and passed up like insult of insults. He passed up Georgia Tech for Georgia for engineering and football.
Oh, that's
Pow pow.
Yeah.
Buff.
Georgia Tech lost
Which is
to.
going to make it even funnier when this team turns around and loses to Georgia Tech.
That's not going to happen. They're sacking 5 chips. It's crazy. They're the blue chip 5-star recruits. So, like, Chris Allen goes out of the game in Alabama, and his backup is a 5-star. Miami has 2 5-stars, and they're both true freshmen. That's good news for 4 years later on. Not exactly great when you're like, wow, Chris Allen's out. Now's our chance. And it's a 5-star. They have so many 5-stars. Most of their 5-stars don't even start for that team. Their best receiver, who was just you couldn't guard him in that game, was a guy that couldn't get on the field at Ohio State, and he just go. Now they're getting the transfer portal guys too. It's just not fair. Someone should look into this.
No, it's not fair. But listen, fair ain't in it.
Mm-mm. They took Tennessee's best linebacker.
I don't
as a
want to talk about it,
transfer.
Spencer. I don't want to talk about it.
They were like, hey, that's a nice linebacker you got there. Be ashamed if he transferred.
Oh,
Holly, I know how crazy you are about the Vols, but the Josh Heupel thing, I kind of is this Scott Frost 2.0? Because I kind of get the feeling like Mackenzie Milton made a lot of people look good.
First of all, no, listen, crazy is the word. Can we go back to crazy? I was born into this team. I can't help it. I don't watch the games anymore because they stress me out, and I don't need that poison in my life.
You just flatly don't watch the games anymore.
No, it's stressful. It's too stressful. We have gotten to the point in my family where my father, who's not that old, has started to look into the middle distance and say that he doesn't think he's going to see another good Tennessee team before he dies. And he's right.
I mean, I'm sorry to laugh at.
No, it's incredible. No, it's hilarious. Go ahead.
It's great watching him, though, because he's redistributed. He perks up. He's like, Tennessee baseball. Let's talk about Tennessee baseball. Let's do it.
Hey, that's a good team. No, listen, this is another.
See?
This is how we go off this, right? Because this is the Georgia team that I will say nice things about a team when they're fun to watch. I don't care where they're from. This is the first time in my lifetime that Tennessee baseball has been fun to watch.
It's a hard sell right now when you're trying to get the audience really fired up about Vols baseball.
Listen, and we pulled in a transfer. Anyway, I'm extremely worried about this team.
Wait a second. Did you just eject on the big time transfer coming to Vols baseball?
No, listen, what I would rather talk about is, oh God, this team is going to lose to Pitt.
But Holly, if you were an East Tennessee State fan, it was a pretty great weekend, right?
Here's the thing. You can't even dwell on, listen, y'all have just caught me in a cul-de-sac of Tennessee mania, and I'm just looking for an escape. Tennessee fans cannot even be happy for the success of the ETSU Buccaneers, where I have a family connection. My cousin played for them. But Randy Sanders is their offensive coordinator. Randy Sanders, who presided over the lackluster and diminishing return offenses of the twilight of Phil Fulmer. And Randy Sanders is the OC of that team. So no, like you mentioned that name in my house and my parents will spit on the ground.
I thought you were going to say Randy Sanders presided over your parents' wedding or something like that.
No, but I will tell you that my parents got married the day of the Tennessee-Bama game because my mom wanted to see who would choose her over that game.
There was a guy who's
I could live to be 100 and not have that level of self-possession.
There's a guy who's on that ETSU team who beat Vandy in Clark Lee's first game as Vandy coach, who was on the Temple team that beat Derek Mason's first team at
He's
Vanderbilt.
An 8th-year senior.
He's like the first 8th-year senior in the history of college football, and he did it just to ruin Vandy's life twice. I cannot think of a weirder or pettier grudge than this man transferring schools, getting an unprecedented year of eligibility just to poop in Vandy's punch bowl one more time. It's astonishing.
Since Holly mentioned,
fully run out of Netflix shows to make, that's going to be the documentary, the sports documentary that someone, Meadowlark, decides to finance.
Since Holly mentioned an offensive coordinator from the past in Tennessee, I feel like every college football fan in the country has, if you mention the words offensive coordinator, there is one that immediately comes to the top of your head as by far the offensive coordinator that you loathed the most that was in charge of your program. For me, it was Patrick Nix. Patrick Nix. University of Miami offensive coordinator.
Even I remember Patrick Nix. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Ja'Cory Harris talking about Patrick Nix is absolutely sublime. Just sit there talking about this man didn't know anything. Like, not one thing.
It showed. Oh, if only we kept Jed Fish.
Oh,
and remember
Jed
that
Fish.
one year that Mark Whipple set the
Tennessee
world on
won?
fire.
How's
who's
Jed
that for
Fish
you?
doing right now? Who is that for me?
Mhm.
Pick him? Pick one? I was raised on David Cutcliffe, like I grew up spoiled. And then my alma mater does things like bring in Mike DeBoard on purpose. Speaking of, Mike DeBoard is the guy who had Tom Brady and 3 or 4 future all-pro linemen at Michigan. And Spencer, what did he average? What did they average in forward progress that year?
Yeah, like 3 feet.
It was like 3.4 yards or something like that. He had Tom Brady and multiple future NFL stars at linemen. So anyway, I can't believe it didn't work out when he came to Tennessee, where there's less in-state talent and a harder schedule.
Washington State has to have some PTSD because, once again, an offensive-minded head coach lighting the world on fire. Going to get poached, no doubt, because the Nick Rolovich era can't be going any better right now for the Cougs.
Washington State doesn't believe in PTSD. That's just their opinion.
Yeah. Sorry.
They've done their own research.
Yeah. It's a personal decision to lose to Utah State.
Hey, guess who's quarterbacking for Washington State this minute?
I know the answer.
Jarrett Garantano, transfer from Tennessee. We're everywhere, baby.
Oh no, I don't.
We are spreading the diaspora out to the rest of college football like deadly spores.
Yeah, now that you mention it,
and that's no slam on Garantano, who got a raw deal at Tennessee and transferred into maybe the only situation where he was guaranteed to have a worse time with the coaches. That's a choice.
I thought
I got one here, by the way, and this is just because I want to put ill in the world out because I have to get it out of my body.
This is good. I love it when you don't pretend to be nicer than me.
My least favorite OC of all time was Steve Adazio because
that's a good
for
one.
Florida 2009 when he just got dumb. Like our offense just got stupid. We went from like, we have a big brain offense to dive. Like we just ran the dive like 40% of the time.
He has such a calming presence too on the sideline.
Big old Sergeant Slaughter.
He was the
blockhead.
coordinator for Urban, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make
he
any
was the
sense.
coordinator.
These are not two styles of people that like mix together. How did that happen?
Never has the cliche been uttered, he knows where the bodies are buried, when it might actually be bodies.
Yeah.
Him and
for
Kevin
Adazio-
Steele. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they had to, like all people running from the law, Adazio had to go to Colorado State, right? Hide out in the hills.
Hey, how's Colorado State doing?
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. Alley-oop.
They lost to South Dakota State, the Jacks. They lost to the Jackrabbits. They got housed at home 42-23.
And
Not
let's
even
talk
close.
to you. Let's talk to those of you who may not be quite as deep in the college football quagmire as we are. This is their own fault because they scheduled South Dakota State. It used to be safe to schedule the Dakotas that didn't have state in the name, and now all the Dakotas are good. They're all dangerous. South Dakota State has been dangerous. You scheduled them on purpose. Are you going to go recruit South Dakota? Was that your plan? Whose plan was this? Multiple people had to think it was a good idea to play South Dakota State. You know what they're going to come in here and do?
The rule is never lose to small game. Never lose
Never.
to small game.
Their mascot is a jackrabbit.
Their quarterback's name is Gronowski, and I saw the back of the jersey, and I'm like, there's a good chance he's a Gronkowski brother, and they just didn't print the K.
Yeah, we ran out of money.
That happened a lot over this weekend. We had Indiana taking the field in jerseys that said Indiana.
Indinia.
Yeah.
My favorite
Indiana.
Eastern European country.
I mean, the Indiana Eastern European comparison, not inaccurate.
I live there, Spencer.
Yeah, you know.
I have to say, spin zone, though, for Colorado State, if you're going to lose to an FCS team, at least do it on a weekend where 5 other teams lost to FCS teams. Because now we're just spreading out the Schadenfreude, right? Like, UConn losing to Holy Cross has to be the worst of those, but they're all pretty bad.
Did you see what happened, Randy Edsall, from, I'm going to retire at the end of the season before they could send the media release out? He's like, you know what? Now's a good time.
I don't think he was the one that made that second decision, frankly.
Doesn't sound like it. It sounds like there was some from
This
the
is an
report I
HR
read.
level and one.
Yes, like you can't just quit. Your team's not going to be cool with you just coming back week 2 now and coaching them for the rest of the season when you already just decided to quit. It reminded me of that Bills cornerback who retired at halftime 2 years ago. Was his name like Vontae Davis? I
Vontae
think?
Davis, yeah.
He just
left.
He's like, you know what?
Hey, no, I respect that. That's a business
done.
decision.
I think they asked a teammate, like, did you know what was happening? And they're like, yeah, because he got his keys. Like, he just got his
Randy Edsall's already on a flight to Boca.
Yeah.
There's one worse. Washington had the worst one.
Yeah.
Washington lost to Montana. And that is only the 5th time since 2007 that a ranked FBS team has lost. I mean, Washington was in the college football playoff 2 years ago, and they went from that to losing 10-7 to Montana. That's rank.
You know what? The only reason I feel like Holy Cross is worse than Montana is because I feel like you could be a Goldman Sachs like first year analyst and still have eligibility and play at Holy Cross. Like they're not like they're recruiting just dudes who live in Murray Hill to play on their team.
Are you saying they're recruiting dudes in fleeces, like sleeveless?
If you have a vest on and a plaid shirt, I think you can play at Holy Cross.
This is actually the focus of our full cast episode that's dropping later on Wednesday, which that's today. Whoops. Just going through all of the FCS misery that was on tap over the weekend. I'm trying to think if we forgot one.
We did. There were a couple of them. At least 6 this weekend, I think 5 or 6.
Sorry, I got distracted by looking at Randy Edsall's head coaching record.
You forgot Las Vegas and Eastern Washington and Tulsa and UC Davis.
Yeah, the
I
Pac-12.
did forget Tulsa and UC Davis.
The entire Pac-12 had a weekend too, where they're all just hoping that we pile on Washington, hoping that no one else looks. Even Oregon almost had one.
Oregon to Fresno State. By the way, UCLA, who had the big upset against LSU, right? Just beat the dog out of them. They play Fresno State next week. I will laugh at Fresno State. It's like the treadmill test for the entire Pac-12. It's like, yeah, they must be really good. They beat Fresno State.
Everyone in the Pac-12 is working out the transitive property right now, seeing the look ahead on Fresno State's schedule. We've let Jessica kind of skate a little bit because, look, I'm not going to try to punch up on Notre Dame. They at least won their weekend fixture, but that's not a good FSU team. Or as competitive as they were, and the Milton thing is cool. And if Milton is actually going to be the starter over there, he is such a leader that I wouldn't put it past 7 wins over there. But Notre Dame doesn't look very good, Spence.
No, they have some issues defensively. They have a lot of issues defensively if they're letting FSU run by them, because there's not a lot of dudes on that team who can really get after it, especially on defense. Like I'm more worried about, like, I think defensively they're going to get 8 up over the course of the year. I think they're probably they're probably staring at 2 or 3 losses if they've struggled that badly to FSU. But I wouldn't also overreact, right? Like, I'm trying not to overreact on week 1, which is the hardest thing, because what I want to do is I want to say that Notre Dame sucks, and we're all going to find out that Brian Kelly really sucks both on and off the field, and that this is when they collapse and show everybody what an absolute sham of a football program they are. And that hasn't happened. That's what I've wanted week 1 for like 20 years running. And unfortunately, they're still pretty good at it. Pretty good. Like, that's damning with faint praise. Notre Dame's always going to be about like 9 or 10 wins. They're going to be right there. But that gap from like 10 to 11 and to actually competing in the playoff, it's vast at this point. Like, Alabama's way up on this like evil little tower, and it's got a couple of other teams with it, and then everybody else is about 5,000 feet below, and Notre Dame's right there. Like, Notre Dame is on the doorstep. It's just the doorstep leads to a staircase that's like 9 miles high, and they're still
and at least
short.
They can cover against Alabama and not lose by 31.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right, Spencer. The thing that was frightening was the defense. They were playing this like 3-3-5 base defense that Marcus Freeman was running at Cincinnati against dudes that were just running 8 yards up the middle every single play, and they weren't adjusting for it whatsoever. But again, like, brand new defensive coordinator, I'm not going to overreact too much. I'd rather have issues but win the game than have issues and lose the game. So we'll see how they do against Toledo and Purdue in the next couple weeks. But
stress tests.
Look, I'm not throwing darts at Notre Dame just because I can. I'm throwing darts at Notre Dame because I have a genuine question. It's one thing to be concerned about, these are valid concerns, new DC and whatnot, but can you name a second half adjustment?
No, that was my biggest concern.
That's the part that would, and I'm speaking genuinely, despite my feelings about Notre Dame and Brian Kelly, who is a reprehensible human being. That's the problem.
You're anti-capital punishment.
I thought you were going to say you're anti-Catholic.
Well, we know that, Holly.
My mother might be listening to this. My mother's not listening.
I have heard more about this backdoor cover that you guys eked out against Alabama than I heard from Bo Wallace when he actually beat Alabama. The cover came with 56 seconds left.
And in a 31-7 game.
You're raising the banner. They should hit that score every time they go out instead of fight like a champion.
It's play like a champion. And absolutely, it should say play like you covered Alabama in the Rose Bowl. Because you did. And that's a W for me. I'm counting it. I'll etch that
Bama
on my
scored in their
tombstone.
first 3 possessions. It was 21-7.
I
Chris,
just like that.
You're a Hurricanes fan. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. That's
Stupid
it.
thing to brag about. It's just stupid. We covered
He went
with
there.
a 56-second to go touchdown.
He-
Like, come on.
He's
We're
a
Miami
Hurricanes fan, and it was his first choice school, not his backup. He didn't
This
even
is
apply.
a very Notre Dame brag to be like, hey man, we beat math. We
Yeah.
beat math.
I know. It's weird.
We understand numbers.
We covered
Miami
19
makes
and a
it
half.
into the 24 team playoff in 2035.
We're not going to do the
Come back
thing.
at me.
I'm not going to do the thing where I overreact to a 30-point loss to Alabama. Miami might very well be a 10-win team. They also might very well lose to Appalachian State on the weekend. You don't know, but you can't. If you're going to do the overreaction game on week 1, there should be a qualifier. Maybe skip it on Alabama when they clobber everybody. It's just not fair.
It's not fair. Well, it's fair in it, but more importantly, for our purposes, at least it's boring.
I
It is.
know this, that Alabama has one problem coming up on the schedule, and that's Ole Miss. Because Ole Miss is not designed to beat Alabama. They are designed to annoy them.
Yeah.
That's it. They have a quarterback who's all over the place. They have really good skill players on the perimeter, right?
And Lane
they have
Kiffin, he's annoying as hell, right?
Hey,
Mhm.
when
And
has Bama ever had trouble with Ole Miss and a quarterback whose actions you can't predict from second to second?
never,
Never.
never. Like if you thought Chad Kelly was fun, they went back in the lab and they rebuilt him and they put him back out there as Matt Corral, and he's got
And
an
so
improved-
far, he hasn't pulled an AK out of his car.
I mean, yeah, he's lacking the random firearm violence that made Chad Kelly so interesting. And
I know that will make Miami fans like him a little bit less, but I promise he's really fun to watch.
And I say maximum irritation. It's because Ole Miss still doesn't really have a defense. Like Louisville has no offense. Don't gauge what they did in that game versus anything that's going to happen for the rest of the season, because Louisville's offense is anemic, particularly when they get behind, because they're primarily a running offense. This is going to annoy Nick most. Ole Miss doesn't care about stopping them. They'll just be like, oh, look, field goal. Oh, look, touchdown. That's cool. We get the ball back. Like Nick Saban will hate that on principle. And be like, we're playing arena ball out here. God, it's going to be great. By the fourth quarter, Lane's going to be making calls just to put Nick in the grave sooner, just to irritate him, just to shave time off that man's life with anger and stress.
That game's on October 2nd, so by then Lane Kiffin would have recovered from his latest bout with COVID, gotten it again, and antibodies will be surging by October 2nd. But if I'm doing the look-ahead game on their schedule, it's against Liberty, not against Bama. Ole Miss versus Liberty. I might fly up to that one.
What is it? The Freeze Bowl? Oh, God.
Better
Is
hope
that
you have
at?
good antibodies if you're going there.
Where is that?
I don't know, but the T-shirt has to say "Hell freezes over."
Oh no, absolutely. Also, like, I bet Freeze is gonna go to Kiffin and be like, "Hey, I left some stuff in the locker room. But if I just swing by and get it?"
It's going to be sticky. Don't make it weird.
On that note, do you guys have any advice? As we're a growing show, we get accused of maybe being exclusive rather than inclusive. How have you guys made that work?
Spencer, you could tell this story.
How to be inclusive or exclusive? How to not be a niche podcast?
How to make it work?
How to make it work? Double down. Just become more inscrutable. You can leave breadcrumbs. We have an entire thing that's like how to listen to the full cast, and we explain about 5% of the back lore. That's it. But otherwise, like, I like it when people explain like there's too much lore. I watched everyone in America hang on the occurrences in a show about dragons and knights with like 5,000 characters, right? You can do that as long as there's like, fire and cussing. So like, as long as you've got fire, cussing, and things blowing up, you're fine.
Do you have any of those
the story
things?
the story that I was trying to goose him into telling was we had an executive at a previous home for our show say that our show was too niche, it was too insular, and then point to a promo we had done with a picture of Nick Saban and said, "See, I don't know who this is."
I wonder who that was.
I don't.
Jessica knows damn well who it is.
I don't actually think we've ever said this person's name on the air, even on our own show. Maybe one of these days. But listen, the reason we're here is the same reason is the same reason we love what y'all do. I truly believe that if you're having fun, that's infectious. And if you're having a good time, people want to hang out and have a good time with you.
You guys
Even if they
And
don't know all the-
sometimes you have to do a show for 8 years with no intention of growing an audience just to get to this point.
I mean, even if like think about it this way, like, do you know the Flaming Lips, the band, the Flaming Lips? They played for like 15 years before they ever learned to play their instruments. And when asked why they kept doing it, they're like, I don't know, it was fun. And then one day we're like, oh crap, we can play guitar. I guess we're a band now. And I think that's kind of where we're getting. I think we need
I
another
think it was
7
when we
years.
started touring and we started selling out shows, and we're like, what?
Was it when Spencer started crowd surfing in a bubble?
Yeah, crowd surfing in a bubble. It's when I was in a bathtub full of glitter on stage. That's gonna happen.
I
Oh,
would
God, it
say
got
though,
everywhere.
Holly and Spencer, for you guys, like some of your fans have been listening back to the days when Jason would like do the podcast while mowing his lawn. Like the
We
audio
still do
quality
that
was
sometimes.
that's true.
Yeah, the audio quality was
so bad.
aggressive.
Like, you can't
So
give
bad.
away all your secrets to the new followers. You have to make sure that the loyal people who have been there since day one still feel like they're in on a little bit of something that new people that come along just aren't gonna ever find. Like
Listen,
the charm was there and it still is.
Let me reassure those people with one swipe. We have already had the conversation with the fine backstage folks at Meadowlark about how to get Jason equipment that will allow him to continue to record outside.
Because that's where his Wi-Fi is best. And sometimes you get a random barking dog. I think my favorite was when somebody cranked up a lawnmower 20 feet from his mic.
No, the
across
best one was the
fence.
biplane in the middle of the ad read, and the ad read was going in every show for the next like 35 weeks.
It sounded like he was in a trench at Verdun, right? It's like, the Jerry's are buzzing us again.
Full Cast After Dark begins on Twitter Spaces, so I guess we also have to put out the Twitter handles out there. Spencer and Holly, I'll allow you to do that, and that begins this Saturday after the big game. What is the big game? Ames, Iowa, right? That's the big game. That's a
El Asico!
yeah. So you
Here,
guys,
I'll put out the Twitter handle. It's Shutdown Full Cast.
Without a T, yes. It's at Shutdown Full
So
Cast,
on brand.
FULLCAS.
you guys are aggressively exclusive.
Yes.
That's right. Don't type out the whole name of the show. That's the handle. At Shutdown Fullcast. That's where we're going to be doing it on Twitter Spaces. I'm being inclusive by telling you where it's at.
We're
That's
not
right.
exclusionary. We're a speakeasy. That's still fashionable, right?
It is. And you could also catch
God, yes.
their work on Channel 6, which might be a new college football site or public access channel in Georgia. You'll never know.
That's true. I'm going to be writing about Jessica, I'm going to be writing about Terry Bodass today. We'll be writing about
Oh my God.
Valtteri Bottas.
Our
the end
sweet
of
boy,
Oh.
headed to
Terry.
Romeo.
Did you see that Mercedes gave him some like tricked out sick Mercedes car a week ago? I was like, they're either just re-signing him and giving them this as a gift, or this is the best breakup gift of all time.
Or they're going to take it back.
Yeah. Either way, Valtteri's going to put it in a shipping container in Helsinki and forget he ever had it. He's going to find it like 15 years and be like, this is a really nice car. I probably shouldn't have just like thrown it into this pile of other really nice cars.
Oh, he's 100% only going to drive that thing completely naked after getting out of his weird mountain sauna with his friend.
Just the man who was on Drive to Survive going balls out, jumping into a sauna. Love that man.
Full Cast After Dark begins this weekend. And remember, always subscribe to the Batard and Friends feed, because if you miss that show live, I kind of want to watch it live, but if you miss that show live, it'll show up on the Batard and Friends network page. So make sure to subscribe to that. Holly and Spencer, thank you so much for joining our weird little family here and doing whatever it is that you guys do.
Likewise.
Best possible descriptor.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all.